These 5 books are nothing new. As a matter of fact, the last one I'm going to tell you about was written only a couple hundred years after Christ walked the earth. But they're all useful and powerful tools. These are 5 self-help books you really need to read. Welcome to the channel. Now would be a good time to like and subscribe. Welcome. My name is Doug. I teach meditation, mindfulness, and just a little bit of Kundalini yoga from time to time. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, books. These 5, in particular, are extremely useful, powerful, something you ought to read. They're all different, but they're all good. And it's something that I think that if you've not read these, you really should. I think you'll get a lot out of them. That being said, let's get started. This list is in no particular order, so don't think it's ranked. It's just, these are 5 books that I think are important. The 4 Agreements by Dr. Miguel Ruiz is something special. This one is basically talking about a Toltec philosophy. The book starts off with the phrase, thousands of years ago, the Toltec were known throughout southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. The knowledge he talks about is more of an awakening to begin with. He tells a story about someone just like me or you who lived in a city surrounded by mountains. He was trying to become a medicine man to learn the knowledge of his ancestors, but he didn't agree with everything he was learning. And he felt like there had to be something more. He talks about how society and culture tend to train us like animals from birth, and that sometimes our views might not align with those of society. He gives some great advice and some great ideas on how to deal with that conflict and how to live with 4 basic tenets that pretty much help you put to rest all that internal conflict when what you believe doesn't necessarily go along with the beliefs of mainstream society, no matter what culture or age you're living in. Next up is the popular book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits is a self-help book about habits and how to succeed by changing those. The idea is pretty simple. If you change your way of thinking, you change your habits, you change the way you live. I think that we all instinctively already know that, but in this book, he comes up with some methods and some ways to actually implement that to create positive change in your life. It's really one of those books that has actionable steps. It's not just fluff and philosophy, it's something that you can actually work on. And that's what makes this book a useful tool. The next book I want to talk about is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, this one has gotten a lot of buzz over the last little bit, and with good reason. It talks about a lot of powerful, deep, meaningful concepts about personal growth. Gets into consciousness, universal truths about life, tolerance, forgiveness, and what it means to actually be who you're supposed to be. It's one of those things that I think echoes a lot of what I personally found in my own journey, and I find a lot of truth in it. He's also got some really good meditations and things out there, so all in all, not the worst rabbit hole to fall down if you're looking into new books and new things to read. Our next book is modern, but it touches on some very old ideas. If you're unfamiliar with Stoic philosophy, keep an eye on the channel. We're going to be dropping a few things on that in the future, and it's fascinating and very powerful, relevant to modern times. The book I'm recommending for you is The Practicing Stoic, a philosophical user's manual by Ward Farnsworth. Now, it covers a whole lot. The chapters are all interestingly titled. It's one of those things where I just recommend you dive into it and read, study, and think on this as much as possible. Some of these things will make great matches for meditations. The basic idea is it talks about the ability to see things from a detached perspective and to understand the world as it really is. In other words, to look more with logic than with emotion, and to realize that there is a natural law in the way that things work. Also, the ability to go through and face difficult situations without being swayed by emotion or anger. Basically, keeping your calm, understanding that getting overly emotional doesn't really help you any, and to be more logical. Our final book is probably the first self-help book ever written. It's called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It starts out with the word philosophy is a mirror. The book had a lot of things about transformation, about the question of what is a good person. How do you live a good life? What are the things that you can do to be a good person, be happy, and to live well? How do you adapt to things rather than fight them? How do you live using logic as opposed to emotion? And how do you keep yourself in check? These are questions we still struggle with 2,000 years later. I think it's a statement on the human condition about our constant struggle. No matter our time, our culture, we all kind of want the same things: to live the best life we can.